Hello, everybody. So today I want to talk about Celsius Holdings once more. I bought a little more of a stock today. I've been adding, it's one of my DCA stocks that I consistently add to, especially now that we've had this major drop, this gift. I consider this a gift. Celsius is the energy drink challenger. If you look at the energy drinks around the world, it's Red Bull #1, followed by Monster, followed by Celsius, at least in the USA. Celsius is not in Europe yet, aside from the UK, some in Switzerland. They're moving to Europe over the next few years. But if you look at the landscape, Celsius is the challenger, and it's the quickly growing challenger. Yet, because of a Pepsi overstock issue and a channel sell-through inventory issue, essentially Pepsi was even more greedy than Celsius in their forward estimates. Right, remember, this is a company growing well above 50% a year. Because of that, the market is spooked, and the company Celsius has lost quite a bit of value, to the point that now the stock over the past 3 years is now flat. We're back at the level of September 21. The stock is now flat. To give you an idea of the difference, right? Monster Beverage, a much older, much lower growth, much less volatile stock, is up 10%. And so just looking at those two, to me, I can tell, and no financial advice, but I can tell there's an anomaly with Celsius. Celsius is the volatile stock. Look at the P ratios too, right? The P ratio of Monster is much higher than the P ratio of Celsius. Yes, Celsius still, in my view, is likely going to grow at 50% per year for a few more years to come, and then the law of large numbers will kick in. But this is an opportunity. I view it as an opportunity. I am buying it. Let me just show you historic returns, historic numbers, of course. No indication of future return. But what happens when we look at Celsius versus Monster over the past 4 years using my total return calculator here? We can see Celsius since January of 2020. It's almost a 90% average annual return after the drop I just discussed. On the other hand, Monster is only 11%. Monster is not beating the NASDAQ anymore. If you look at a 10-year period, right, almost 11 years, just took a random 10-year period, 2014 to 2024, you're at 68% average annual return. Monster is only at 15%. So Monster, yet again, is not beating the NASDAQ. But kudos to Monster, and this is an indication of why beverage companies, contrary to popular belief from the 70s and the Michael Porters of the world and the Porter 5 Forces, and distribution is a moat, and you can't ever overtake Coca-Cola and Pepsi because Coca-Cola and Pepsi have the moat. They're in the grocery stores. Well, Monster is proving that theory wrong, isn't it? Because Monster, over the long run period, is one of the best performing stocks out there since 99 to 2024, so 25 years. Monster has handsomely beat the NASDAQ. More than twice the NASDAQ is what Monster has returned. So yes, there is room for an energy drink in my portfolio. This is a sector of high growth that I like. This is a product that's just into the caffeine repackaging business. Caffeine is a delivery system. It's very addictive. It's been a substance since the 1600s. It's when it was imported in Europe, very popular royalty. Caffeine, we all became very addicted to caffeine. People need their caffeine. When you are one of those people who love caffeine, you need your caffeine. The question is, what's going to be your delivery system? Are you going to drink an espresso, or are you going to have an energy drink? This is the way I look at it, and this is where I move on to the question, are energy drinks generational? As you know, Warren Buffett owns almost 20% of Coca-Cola stock. He's pictured quoting things like, oh, I'm 25% Coca-Cola, because that's all he drinks. The office of Buffett has free Coca-Cola on tap. He's a big fan of Coca-Cola. Is Warren Buffett ever going to move away from Coca-Cola? Coca-Cola is the beverage of the generation of Warren Buffett. Tastes, once you go through your formative years, and once you get, I would argue, to your 30s, tastes rarely change. Tastes stay stable over time, and they create moats. And I want to talk about energy drinks really being generational. I am an older millennial, and I remember when I was, 18, 19 in France, Red Bull was not allowed. And I remember people driving to Italy, and they would drive 5 hours to Italy to get their cars filled with Red Bull and just like passing Red Bull to their friends at the university. I remember that. And when Red Bull came to France, it was a big sensation. It was really, really popular. And of course, Celsius today, when you try to go around where the hipsters hang out, where the young people hang out, where Gen Z hang out, I cannot help but see the pattern. I see that feel of Celsius being the popular drink. It is what Gen Z seems to want. And I would argue Monster is a beverage that was very popular in the 2010s. In the 2010s, you could not go to, say, an event in the US, like a basketball game or whatever, and not have someone give you a free Monster, right? That was that beverage. Monster is kind of stuck in the middle between the legacy energy drinks, the Pepsi Max, the Coke of the world, and this new energy drink, which I would argue is Celsius. And Red Bull, well, it's well stuck in the mind of Gen Xers, well stuck in the mind of millennials. But, these markets are set. What I'm interested as a growth investor is, what is the next big thing? What is the next market? What is the market where tastes are not set yet, where people are still picking what is the beverage that is going to follow them their whole lives, just like Warren Buffett picked Coca-Cola as the beverage that follows them their whole life. And I can tell you that I have this tacit, I don't want to say knowledge, but this tacit view. I see it. The youth they love Celsius. Celsius is influencing, they're using a lot of influencers, but very popular influencers are actually supporting the drink. People I've never heard of. I've never heard of Jake Paul. 26 million followers on Instagram, is being pictured whenever he has, I think he's a boxer or something, wherever he has a press conference, whatever, his picture with a Celsius drink. Very popular person among Gen Z. Gen Zs, they like these mocktails, these drinks, these alcohol-free drinks, and replace the alcohol, of course, with caffeine. They do these mocktails with whatever, with the Celsius drink. You can see the power of the TikTok, of the Instagram posts of Celsius are pretty high. These are random videos, 32 million views, 14 million views. They sponsor the popular, snowboard or whatever. Even if you look at the TikTok, which I gotta get on TikTok. I have to figure out the world and get what's going on in TikTok. I think this is where a lot of investments you can pick up based on TikTok. Celsius on TikTok has 5.2 million followers. TikTok is the social media of people turning 18, 19, 20, 21. The young Gen Z, they are on TikTok, and that's 5.2 million followers. And sure enough, when I go to the gas stations around here in the US, when I go to Buc-ee's, who do I going to the fridge, picking up $10 worth of Celsius in the form of 4 cans? Well, it is the Gen Z of the family traveling with their parents. They love it. They drink the stuff. I see it every day. And so that's why you create some tacit knowledge. Also, and this is very characteristic of the energy drink, and this is reminiscent of what I remember back when I was 18, 19. If you follow Celsius, you may have noticed there's a lot of social rumors and things on social media, and there's a very tenacious rumor on social media that actually Celsius is good for weight loss, and Celsius promotes weight loss. And of course, they have their 6 academic studies where they show that within certain contexts, when you have Celsius, it increases your metabolism. They have their own studies, and of course, showing studies for Celsius has created kind of this aura that the drink has, and this aura has led to things like search terms like Celsius weight loss on TikTok. This was a 2013 article from the New York Post. They had 639 million views. I don't have TikTok. I need TikTok, but I'm sure if you type that today, you're probably at more than 1 billion views associating Celsius with TikTok. And you also had people claiming that Celsius had Ozempic in it, and you had TikTokers say, "Oh, my Celsius has Ozempic in it," etc., etc., etc. TikTok is a worldwide tool of social media, which means, in my view, When Celsius is going to move to Europe, you're going to have a built-in consumer who will have heard about Celsius on TikTok and on social media. It is the beverage of generation. These rumors remind me of the rumors of when I was 18. What were these rumors? It was rumors about taurine. I remember this even made news all over about, taurine, what is taurine? And Red Bull has had to say, no, taurine is actually not derived from animals. It's not what you think. Well, Celsius has been trying to say, no, Celsius has no Ozempic in it. They've been trying to say it, but social media goes on. Also, notice how Celsius is partnering with soccer. What's very interesting is, of course, the MLS. That's a new league in the US. In the US, football, as we know it, American football is unfortunately for me, because I remember my 2010s in America, and that was part of American culture. Unfortunately, American football is kind of losing out to soccer, and soccer is becoming more and more part of American culture. I see this very clearly in the USA. Soccer, if it is going to be the world's analog sport, associating with yourself with that sport is also going to help you drive more drinks, at least in the US. It'd be interesting to see what they do in the US, and apparently they sell it at stadiums and stuff like that. Anyways, they are really circling around that generation. They may be the beverage of that generation, and that generation right now is a blue ocean. There is not a lot of competition in that generation. Grocery stores, again, this is anecdotal, but you go to the grocery store, you're going to have the cash registers, and they have all of your energy drinks. And of course, in the morning, if you go in the morning, you can't really tell because, they put the shelves good in the morning. They make them look good. They have the facing going on, and you can see the face of the product really well. And then at the end of the day, you go to the grocery store, and you see that some aisles have been picked over, and some others have not, right? Celsius is picked over. You still have a Celsius, but your best flavor is going to be gone. Your favorite flavor is going to be gone at the end of the day. Over drinks are not moving as much. At least that is what I see. Over drinks are not moving as much. Again, maybe it's anecdotal. That's what, take that with a grain of salt. It's anecdotal. It's just Texas. I'm not telling you it's the same in the rest of the US or in Europe, but it's what I see. For Buffett, that was Coke for caffeine. Older millennials is Red Bull. Younger millennials is Monster. For Gen Z, that may very well be Celsius, and you can see the wider generation, the bigger generation, is going to have the top spot. So if Celsius keep doing so well with Gen Z, which remember also, if you think a recession is having an impact, when you're at that stage of life, when you're in your late 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, when you're on those ages, you're not exposed to the same sources of inflation, right? You don't necessarily have mortgages and high home insurance and all that sort of stuff. This is not necessarily what you're going to cut on. I fundamentally believe that. This is the drink of choice of that generation, and when that generation grows up, are they going to increase their intake? Is Celsius going to dethrone Monster and dethrone Red Bull? Well, that's kind of a thesis of this investment. And of course, it doesn't need to dethrone Red Bull. It just needs to do a Monster. And if it just became like a Monster, I would be a very happy investor in Celsius. Moving on to Gen Z and how they buy their stuff. Gen Z orders on Uber Eats. They order on DoorDash. They order on Deliveroo if you're in Europe, right? And Gen Z buy online. And let's look at what's going on online, right? If you look at how many sales on a similar product, they're all sugar-free products right there. Right, 0 calories, etc. 0, 0, 0. What do you see? I try to be fair. You see that Celsius has about 5x more sales on Amazon than Red Bull, which means your Gen X, your later millennials, they typically don't buy their Red Bull, or they don't seem to buy much of their Red Bull online, right? They buy it in the store. So Celsius is doing much better on that channel. Of course, a profitable channel. Celsius is also doing better than Monster. So Monster still has a lot of business in the analog world. The best seller in this digital world, in this online shopping world, is Celsius online. Celsius is selling very, very well. And I want to point out too, which I think would be interesting to figure that out. I wonder how much food stamps play a role. Anyways, this is a tangent. really, really quickly. Some of Celsius products are eligible for food stamps, some are not. I'm very surprised to see that energy drinks are eligible for food stamps. I had no idea of that. I find it very interesting, and it has something to do with the energy drinks being nutritious food or qualifying as nutritious food based on a quick research with NAI. So I don't know if Celsius could one day, depending on the formula that they have, qualify as nutritious food, and then boom, you get a huge sales bump by qualifying for food stamps, which, I'm very surprised Red Bull qualifies for food stamps, if you ask me, but it does. Tangent over. Let me move back and conclude with the valuation. So there you go. For watching my whole video, you get my whole valuation for all of the food and beverage stocks. I want to be in the food and beverage sector. We all eat, we all drink. We're never going to quit eating or drinking. It's a sector that is here to stay. If it's disrupted, it's going to be disrupted, but the industry is not going to disappear, which I like. And when I look for a stock in the food and beverage section, the best stock that I see, that's not Dutch Brothers, that's not Cava, that is not Sweet Greens, absolutely insane the valuation of that stock. That is not this stock, that is Celsius. Celsius, how much am I paying for that forward growth? So analysts are saying 39% forward growth. I think it's going to be much more than that, as I've outlined, at least the sell-through at the stores. The inventory issue is slowing down the sales, but I think it's going to be much more than that. How much am I paying for that forward growth? I'm paying a 0.23. It's the cheapest by a long shot in the food and beverage sector, and they also have the highest Rule of 40 with an EBITDA margin of 23%, gross margin of 50%. Much more profitable than, say, selling salad. Nothing wrong against salad, but it's not as profitable as selling an energy with a lot of caffeine, an energy drink with a lot of caffeine. So 62, that's the best Rule of 40, and that's the cheapest growth. And when I look at Monster, right, whereas Monster or Starbucks, kind of these legacy businesses in their own respective space, they have nosebleed valuation. And out of in order to keep this channel not too outrageous, I didn't put Coca-Cola. But if I had put Coca-Cola in there, I know my spreadsheet enough. I can tell you Coca-Cola would be likely in the double digits. Anyways, I want to focus on that opportunity. I want to figure out which company is going to be a home run with Gen Z, with that big generation that is getting their first jobs, that is starting to spend. That's the blue ocean. That's the market that's not taken right now. This is the market that is not taken right now. They're moving from a world where they are consumers but not customers, i.e., it's the head of the family that buys the drinks for you, and then you move away from being a consumer when you start living on your own, and you become a customer, and maybe you don't buy what your parents used to buy. Maybe you don't drink the coffee or the Diet Coke that your parents used to buy at the house. Maybe you go ahead and you buy your own Celsius. That is new demand. And once these customers get accustomed to their drink of choice, my view is that it's very hard to switch, and I'll conclude with that statement. Warren Buffett will likely never ever quit Coca-Cola. That's his drink. And I can tell you, I think, no investment advice, but in my view, when Gen Z becomes older, when Gen Z becomes 35, 40, 50, they likely won't quit their Celsius again. And this is when these companies will be able to really turn on that profitability. Right? Because right now they're still balancing the growth and the profitability. Once they become established, they can really turn on the profitability. And I very much look forward to that moment. The stock is cheap. I'm happy to accumulate it. This is no financial advice, no investment advice. This is just entertainment, hoping you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.